We've all heard of haunted cemeteries before, and of course haunted houses and haunted castles, haunted hotels and so on. But the idea of a haunted road sounds a little bit, well, weird. What you might not realize is that haunted roads, or roads that have paranormal legends associated with them, are actually not uncommon. Supposedly cursed streets may not be as typical as haunted houses, but every country on Earth has routes that are considered spooky for different reasons. This has been the case for centuries, from the Republic of South Africa to the Philippines, from England to Chile. There are certain paths thought to be frequented by unexpected entities. Hopefully you don't mind sharing the road a little bit. Chicago, Illinois has countless eerie locations, including its very own haunted street, a boulevard influencing a wide expanse of land stretching through the Windy City and its southwestern suburbs, stuffing the area with an assortment of macabre tales. The road now known as Archer Avenue is an ancient trail originally created by Native Americans, sacred long before European migrants claimed the land. We've come to learn that this path overlaps a terrestrial zone called the ley line. Although the theory is dismissed by scientists, spiritualists feel that ley lines correspond with natural magnets, infusing certain areas with unusual environmental power. The magnetic pole, it's believed, raises the possibility of paranormal occurrences. Paved in 1830, Archer Road was heavily utilized during the construction of the Illinois and Michigan Canal. Much of the work involved in building this waterway was incredibly dangerous, leading to plenty of fatalities. Don't ask how many workers died because no one knows. Undocumented deaths were considered normal. Between Native American burials along a holy route and the unaccounted loss of a disposable labor force, the high strangeness of Archer Avenue was in the cards. The uncanny would be part of its destiny. These days, the 33.6-mile thoroughfare is lined with houses, stores, clinics, and everything else that you might expect. But nestled right next to all of these typical American sites are numerous wooded areas and cemeteries that may shelter some creatures of the night, if you're willing to go along with the urban legends. Those early days of Archer Avenue featured tales involving spectral hearses that would run people off the road, as well as figures possibly brought over from old Europe, such as the Wailing Woman of Archer Woods, a banshee-like figure mourning over something, the death of her child, or maybe a missing sweetheart. She's been separated from someone that she loved, and she's not ready to let them go. So she floats around outside, season to season, trapped in endless misery. From traditional phantoms to puzzling monsters, Archer Avenue supposedly has enough nightmare fuel for your entire family. Most people aren't thrilled by the idea of cultists messing with who knows what in forest preserves next door to their homes. It is said that in the 1970s and 80s, wayward youth stirred up the spiritual atmosphere of the neighborhood, but the truth of the matter is that the Archer Avenue area had paranormal rumors attached to it since the very beginning. That being said, intentionally summoning the deceased wouldn't exactly lighten things up now, would it? Some mischief makers prefer graffiti or petty theft, but I guess others would rather recklessly dabble with malevolent ancient forces. Unless you're perfectly comfortable encountering unhappy undead monks, like what has happened to numerous people, including cops, within the St. James Sag Cemetery, you may want to make sure that your local young people are occupied with different activities. These nasty monks have been known to physically chase people off the property, only to vanish once they've accomplished their goal. But if they catch you, they might make you kneel on uncooked rice, give you an awful haircut, or drag you off to the netherworld. Considering these suspiciously precise threats, it could be that some storytellers are still battling with demons from their school days, alongside those phantoms supposedly lurking in the area, which seems like a whole lot to deal with. Basically, don't trespass on St. James Sag after hours. Nothing good can come from it. Cloaked ghosts are considered standard in paranormal folklore, so it's possible that these creeps are simply hooded apparitions, clothed in normal ghost uniform, who don't need you meddling kids invading their burial ground without permission. It could be that they're your run-of-the-mill shadow figures, who sort of kind of look like monks, but they didn't actually bother to go to confession. I don't plan on asking them, neither should you. Archer Avenue, like all of Chicago, has a deep history of religious faith meshing awkwardly with the wild and decadent. Celebratory occasions and places, holidays, taverns, and ballrooms repeatedly lead characters to unfortunate ends. Ghost stories have always served multiple purposes, so it's not shocking that these rumors doubled as both slumber party freakouts as well as morality fables. All parents warn their children to stay far away from sketchy romantic partners, and in many cases, their fears are warranted. Near Loomis Street, there used to be a place called Kaiser Hall, which once hosted an event so lively that the devil himself decided to stop by. Not wanting to cause too much of an initial stir, this night Lucifer chose the appearance of a handsome gentleman and whisked a dazzled dance partner right off her feet, through a glass window, and therefore smack dab to a premature finale. Unhurt, as you could probably guess, the Dark Prince ran off into the night, leaving behind a trail of cloven hoof marks in the dirt. Kaiser Hall was eventually torn down, meaning the devil had to find other hangouts and different ladies to flirt with. The Dance Hall Devil story, in truth, is a worn-out legend that can be found almost anywhere on the globe. But there are old-timers who swear on their rosary beads that this happened to some great-great-aunt or great-great-great-grandpa's sister or whomever. The more enjoyably wacky the legend, the harder it is to typically kill off. Another perfect example of a fatal lover in this area concerns a mysterious gal named Debbie, who has been known to lurk around popular parking lots where she leads young men astray. After she persuades guys to follow her down the street in her vintage automobile, she either vanishes in a cloud of diesel fumes, or much worse, leads them to a nighttime oblivion from which they never return. Debbie, the ghostly seductress or vampire, or whatever she's supposed to be, was more of a phenomenon of past decades, so you're better off worrying about other local ghouls instead. Sorry if that disappoints you. No one is 100% sure what sort of it Debbie was, but there's no doubt that she was a pleasant figure to run into compared to the Gray Baby. The Gray Baby, according to the stories, is neither cute, nor sweet, nor an actual baby. What is the Gray Baby? Depending on which version you prefer, he's either a werewolf that escaped burial from Sacred Heart Catholic Cemetery, a real zombie, a werewolf-zombie hybrid, or a feral human who grew up in the woods after the death of his parents. His nickname comes from his filthy, wretched appearance and stunted demeanor. He survives off forest vermin and unlucky townsfolk. The Gray Baby urban myth could be considered unbearably sad, terrifying, or completely ridiculous depending on your mood. A mixture of all three perspectives seems appropriate, and we could probably all agree that he sounds like a mess. Twisting the natural with the supernatural is par for course when it comes to land-centered haunts. Even though the Gray Baby probably won't interrupt your morning hike, different Archer Avenue stories are taken much more seriously by locals. Flickering red lights in the trees are frequently reported, and though it seems that cult activity has calmed down in recent years, there are people who swear that spells and sacrifices continue to take place in this neck of the woods. Archer Avenue has a lot going on. Industrial development achieved through brutal means, meticulously organized cemeteries not too terribly far from antiquated graveyards with patchy paperwork, and unusual geology beneath occult shenanigans. It would be more surprising if Archer Avenue didn't hold a ton of bizarre stories. Chicago's most celebrated apparition is encountered in this area. With her enchanting nickname and appearance, Resurrection Mary manages to fit into two ghostly archetypes. She's one of the ladies in white, a stereotypical trope featured in countless myths. In that sense, she's similar to the crying woman seen and heard for decades within Archer Woods. But, unlike that sad ghost mentioned earlier, Mary has no intention of staying in one confining area. She's a classic phantom hitchhiker, known throughout the world, whose name alludes to Resurrection Cemetery, the place to which she eventually returns from her social outings. Maybe she was called Mary in life. There are certainly many ladies named Mary laid to rest at Resurrection. Or, perhaps, she's the spirit of a young girl called Anna Norkus, who tragically died in a car accident in 1927. No one can be 100% certain who she is or, for that matter, why she refuses to go quietly into the afterlife. Mary is an energetic and complicated entity which makes her stories especially compelling. She's been seen dancing at nearby ballrooms and has appeared at the roadside countless times to a number of different people. She pulls terrifying stunts at the cemetery gates and engages in cryptic conversations with clueless drivers.
It got cold early this year.
Okay.
She's been known to jump in front of cars and, generally, does a fantastic job of alarming the neighborhood whenever she decides to appear and disappear. Cheated out of living a long, wonderful life, Resurrection Mary gives herself freedom that a normal existence on Earth couldn't fully provide. Always young, forever beautiful. It makes you wonder if this very famous girl will still be around, doing as she pleases, dancing into eternity after the city itself is long gone. To perceive local ghost stories as just spooky rumors is to oversimplify them. Neighborhood myths attempt to answer disregarded mysteries, allowing unique glimpses at a community's fears, desires, and fleeting truths that yesterday's documents can't completely encompass. Even when the material aspects of the world crumble, spirits don't let go. Archer Avenue is a path cutting into a range of humanity, through religious affiliations and social stratifications, past the crude and the cultured, a route that perfectly exemplifies a buzzing city and its tangled past. Streets, like death, are perfect equalizers. History, sometimes manifesting through ghoulish, absurd, and tragic stories, will always ride along with the present. In every city, in every town, our old buried legends are always there with us, waiting to be rediscovered, refusing to be completely forgotten, whether we acknowledge them or not.